Social Security Administration just announced that it was going to give its biggest bump in benefits in several years. And before you click off this video and say, I don't take Social Security benefits, this doesn't actually apply to me, there's a lot more here that you might need to understand. Every time you get paid at your job, some of that money is taken away in taxes. And some of that money that's taken away into taxes is then funneled into the Social Security program. So while you might not be taking Social Security benefits as of yet, that money is being taken out of your paycheck. So it's important to understand if that is going to affect you and how much they might take out in the future. So today I want to talk about this new change to the Social Security. How much did it actually rise by? Why is it rising now? And what does that mean for your paychecks and Social Security benefits in the future? I also want to talk about taxes and the Social Security program. A lot of people don't think the Social Security program is going to even be around in 10, 20, or 30 years. That means a lot of us might be funneling money into a program that might not even exist in 10 or 20 years. But before we break all of this down, do me a quick favor and smash that thumbs up button below and hit that notification bell too. That way YouTube shows our videos to way more money minds around the world and we can keep making videos just like this one. Social Security is basically a federal program that supplies money to people who qualify for it. Some of the people who may qualify for it are elderly citizens, people who need survivorship benefits, and people with disabilities. The government agency that controls how Social Security is run and how things are dispersed is called the Social Security Administration. It was set up back in 1935 by Franklin Delano Roosevelt. Little history lesson for you. Franklin Delano Roosevelt was the president during the Great Depression in the United States. During the Great Depression, roughly 25% of all American workers were completely unemployed. So during that time, there was a ton of changes that were made to our tax code that essentially would help pick Americans back up. One of these things was the Social Security Act and later the Social Security Administration. This would help Americans gain money if they didn't have a job. This essentially created a public safety net to protect people if they were to lose their job or become injured during work. And once it was created, the government actually had to fund it. And the way that the government funds a lot of its different programs is through taxes. Essentially, taxes work because the government is a non-profit entity. That means it has no other way of getting money other than taxing its citizens. This is how it pays for our infrastructure, education, and a ton of other programs. Now, it's important to note here that the government can just print as much money as it wants with the help of the Federal Reserve, but after it prints a bunch of money, like we saw back in 2020 with the many stimulus measures, it eventually will raise taxes or do something with the tax code in order to recoup some of those funds. So like I said, the way that the government gets money is through taxes, which means the way that it funds the Social Security program is through taxes. More specifically though, Social Security is funded through the FICA, the Federal Insurance Contributions Act. This essentially means that a portion of your paychecks will go towards certain government programs like Social Security and Medicare. And if you don't believe me, go check out your latest pay stub. If you look at the very top there, it will say gross earnings, which is the amount that your employer actually paid you, and then it will show all of the tax deductions. Now there's going to be some state deductions on there. There's also going to be Social Security, and there's going to be Medicare. And if they're not listed directly on there, it might just appear as FICA. So you're taxed on your gross earnings, and then whatever's left over after taxes, that's how much you get to keep. Social Security works because the people that are paying into it today may benefit from it tomorrow. So for instance, if Social Security does last until you are of retirement age, then you're paying into it today, and you'll receive benefits for it when you hit a certain age. Social Security has helped a ton of people supplement their income during retirement. That way they can actually retire and not have to worry about their bills when they're of retirement age. You gotta think too, when you're retirement age, you don't have the time, money, or lifestyle anymore to support a full-time job. That's why Social Security benefits start when you're typically older and in like your 60s. But again, Social Security is not just for people of retirement. I mean, it definitely helps to supplement some of your income when you retire, but it also helps a lot of people who are disabled and cannot work. Social Security also helps out people who recently lost a spouse. So if you were traditionally getting 2 incomes in one household and you lost a spouse and are now only getting one, Social Security helps supplement some of that load as well. The key word here is supplement. So Social Security gives you some money when you hit a certain age or qualify for it in some way. And almost every single year, the Social Security Administration raises its benefits ceiling. So the amount of benefits that it gave out the year prior typically goes up every single year. The main reason for this is simply inflation. Our money loses value over time, and the Social Security Administration knows that. So if it was to give you a set benefit every single year, you'd actually lose money every single year. So the benefits that you receive will not be set every single year, and typically they don't go down. Most of the time they're going to go up, but this is just to battle inflation. That brings us to today. The Social Security Administration just raised its benefits ceiling by 5.9%. That is its biggest increase in well over a decade. This is the biggest increase since 2009, and part of the reason that benefits rose so high back then was because the United States was in the Great Recession. This was just after the housing market collapsed and the stock market crash of 2008. A lot of economic stimulus measures were passed back then as well, and inflation was rising too. So the Social Security Administration decided that it needed to increase its benefits so that the people who were receiving the benefits ended up getting more money and they didn't fall behind. Again, the people that are receiving these benefits more often than not cannot simply just go out and get a new job or find work. So if the beneficiaries relied on this money, they would need it to actually work for them and mean something. And if all they're doing is losing money month after month because the Social Security Administration does not raise the benefits, then you have an entire generation of people that are struggling financially. So again, flash forward to 2020 and 2021, we see a very similar thing happen to what happened back in 2009. In 2020 and 2021, the United States government printed a ton of cash. And due to supply chain issues around the world, inflation is at its highest peak in decades. That means the value of the US dollar is dropping. So the Social Security Administration has responded and has now raised its benefits by the highest point, like I said, in a decade. Now, raising benefits does mean more money. But the thing about it is they're only raising benefits to meet inflation. The people who are receiving money from the Social Security Administration are not actually getting ahead. They're just meeting inflation. As everything around them costs more, their money is worth less. So even though they're getting money initially, they're not actually making more. These changes are expected to increase beneficiaries' monthly income by around $92 a month, and they should take place starting in 2022. Right now, though, the Social Security Administration is running into some major problems. The biggest being that more money is coming out than what's actually going in. Social Security is funded by the amount of people that are working. So if people are working, then tax dollars are being taken out to support the program. But according to the Social Security Board of Trustees, as of last year, the fund of Social Security is set to run out completely by 2035, which has left a lot of people wondering if they're paying Social Security right now and they don't plan on retiring within the next 10 to 20 years, is that actually benefiting them? And furthermore, will Social Security be completely depleted and just disappear within the next 20, 30, or even 40 years? Well, more than likely, Social Security will still be around in 30, 40, or even 50 years. But the amount that you actually receive in benefits from Social Security might look very different than what it is today. Part of the reason the Social Security fund is being depleted so fast is, like I said, there's not enough money coming in than what's going out. And this is because there's a lot less people that are of working age and of people that are working right now to allow money to be taken out to fund the Social Security program. So as Social Security is depleted, you may still see some benefits, but more than likely those benefits will continue to get smaller and smaller as the years go on. Social Security is something that is meant to supplement your income. It's not meant to support you completely no matter what your situation is. Social Security was set up and was designed to help you when you need it. But you need to find other ways to supplement your income so that way you don't fully rely on Social Security when you retire or if you're disabled. Social Security can only rise so much, and inflation is always going to continue to rise. Inflation has risen by around 2 to 3% every single year, and the Social Security Administration has raised benefits by about that much as a result. But as it continues to supply more money, and if less people are supplying money into that fund, you're going to see benefits drop over overall, which means when you retire, you can't fully rely on Social Security benefits. This is why so many people turn to investing when it comes to actually beating inflation and making more money over your lifetime. If you want to learn more about investing and what it can actually do to benefit you, our team wrote an article on this exact topic for beginners over on theminoritymindset.com. And if you're interested in reading that article, I'll leave a link to it in the description below. So while Social Security might be a lot less when you go to retire, it won't be nothing. And like all other types of taxes, you can't avoid paying them. So as long as you're going to earn a paycheck from your job, you'll need to continue to pay Social Security. And if you're receiving Social Security benefits right now, this is not the time to go out on a spending spree. Remember, this increase of around 5.9% is just meeting inflation. Everything around you is getting more expensive, so don't think that you're actually earning more here. Yes, it may seem like you're making more on paper, but you're just being given more to help supplement the rest of your income. But now I want to hear from you on this issue. Do you think the Social Security Administration should raise benefits even more? Or do you think Americans should stop putting money into Social Security altogether? In addition, do you think that Social Security is going to be around after 2035 and beyond? Or do you think by 2035, Social Security is basically just going to disappear? Whatever your thoughts are, leave a comment below before you go. But that is it for today's business and financial news breakdown. Thank you so much for watching. If you liked this video and hopefully learned a thing or two, make sure to hit that subscribe button below. Keep hustling, Money Minds, and I'll see you all in the next one.